Hello, hi, how are you? Today is a very special but also a very sad video because today we are going to be going through 15 books to help you get over a breakup. So unfortunately, I have recently gone through a pretty heartbreaking breakup and I'm not really going to talk about that at all in this video, but after it happened, I was really lost and I was really trying to figure out, what do I do with myself? What do I do with all of this horrible feelings and energy and oh my gosh, like how do I cope? How do I function? And I was very lucky that I wasn't in school at the time. It was over the summer, so I had all of this time to just do nothing, which is kind of a good thing because it kind of means you can just watch TV and read books and do whatever you want to distract yourself and you don't have to worry about school. It kind of also sucks because it means literally all of your time, every goddamn second of every goddamn day is focused on this breakup and how much pain you feel and how much heartbreak you feel. And so I was really looking for a video like this, trying to figure out what to help me read after a breakup, and nothing existed. So I was like, why don't I just make one myself? So here I am. It has been a couple months. I'm feeling a lot better, but still not great. And I am gonna give you my suggestions on what books you should be reading after a breakup. Before the video starts, I want to say this video I want to apply to breakups of every shape and size. That could be if you dated someone for a week and you really liked them and you broke up with them and you're kind of just like devastated, or if you dated someone for 5 years or 10 years and you just broke up and you kind of don't know what to do with your life now because your partner is gone. This is a video for if you're still friends with your ex, if you're not friends with your ex, if you're in a weirdly complicated situationship with your ex. I am not here to judge, I am just here to help. I also want to say that these are my personal recommendations, things that I actually read after my breakup that I felt like really helped, but the healing process is different for everyone. It's going to take time for everyone. People are looking for different things. People are trying to heal in different ways, and that's okay. The last thing I want to say is that if you're going through a breakup, which I'm not gonna lie, I assume you are if you're watching this video, I'm so sorry. I'm really here for you. I understand what it feels like and it hurts and it's kind of the worst thing ever. And I'm sending you so much love and so much support, and just know that a million people have gone through this before and have gotten through it, and you will get through it too. Alright, with all that said, let's get into the video. Okay, so we have 5 categories that I have created for this video today. So our first category is I'm heartbroken and want a fantasy world to escape into. These are books to read when you are just so heartbroken you can't even be in this plane anymore, you can't even be in this world anymore, you just feel completely shattered, you just want a fantasy world to latch onto and new characters to love and maybe a little bit of like fantasy romance, although that's not like required. The first one I'm gonna recommend is Crescent City by Sarah J. Maas. Now before people come for me, I just want to say what you will about Sarah J. Maas. Yes, she's extremely problematic. However, those books get me hooked like nobody's business, okay? I read Crescent City after my breakup, and I swear that book is what saved me. Crescent City is a slow burn urban fantasy that is about 800 pages long. It is freaking humongous, and it follows this girl Bryce as she goes through her life, and there's like a murder mystery, and it's really good. Like, I'm sorry guys, I'm just saying, if you're looking for a really well developed world that's got it all, this book is gonna be good for you. The next books I want to recommend to you are the Poppy War series by R.F. Kong. These books are so good. It is a series that follows this girl Rin, and she's this like badass girl who goes to this military school. It's a historical fantasy series that's based off Chinese mythology. It is incredible. It is dense. It is action-packed, and it's really good. The books aren't that long. This is the first one, but there's so much within them. I guarantee it's gonna take your mind off your breakup. It's gonna take your mind off of everything. This is a badass woman fighting in a war, and it's freaking awesome. The other thing I want to to recommend to you is a series of graphic novels that is also a web comic, and that is Lore Olympus by Rachel Smythe. People seem to have very differing opinions about Lore Olympus, but I will tell you, I sat and reread the entirety of Lore Olympus the day after my breakup, and it genuinely healed my soul. Lore Olympus is a cute web series that is all about the stories of Hades and Persephone's experience in the underworld. It's really long, it's slow burn, it's really good. Would recommend, 10 out of 10. You can read it in physical copies, or you can read it on an iPad or a tablet, or even on your phone on Webtoon. So much to unpack there. So much about kind of finding yourself again and growing into yourself as a woman and growing into your sexuality. It's really, really interesting. It's adorable. It's very heartwarming. It's really good. I would highly recommend. It's gonna give you so much content to consume, and it's gonna distract you. It's gonna do exactly what you want it to do. The next category we're gonna get into is I support women's rights and wrongs. This category is for those people who are like, I hate men. Is for those people who are like, fuck everyone around me. I am so heartbroken. I have so much rage inside of me towards this person that broke up with me and shattered my heart, and I need to read something that reflects that. I got you covered, okay? I got you covered. The first book I want to recommend is A Certain Hunger. This is a cannibal story about a food critic who becomes a cannibal murderer and cannibal murders men and eats them. You've probably seen this book around. It's very popular. I also read it right after my breakup when I was feeling very, very angry and aggressive towards my ex, and it was actually very healing in a lot of ways. The other book I have in this category is Circe by Madeline Miller. Circe follows the story of Circe, the ancient Greek goddess. She is a witch. She's the one who turned men into pigs. We love it. We love to see it. I support women's rights and wrongs. She is incredible. This story is incredible. Beautifully written. Takes place on an island, which is pretty much her, and she gets all these visitors, and it is so incredible. The world that Madeline Miller has built is so incredible. I'm absolutely in love with this book. It's one of my favorite books of last year. It's one of my favorite books of all time. I would definitely recommend you reading it. There's a lot in there about finding yourself and coming into your own and coming into your sexuality and what it means to be a woman in a world that's dominated by men, and what it means to be a sexual being in a world that's dominated by male sexuality, and it is just fascinating, and I really genuinely love that book so much. Next category we have is I Want to Believe in Myself Again. This is for the people who have just lost a lot of self-confidence during this breakup, who really feel like they have just lost themselves and kind of don't really know where they're at, where their head's at. I have two recommendations for you. The first recommendation is Before the Coffee Gets Cold. This book is Japanese translated fiction. It takes place in a coffee shop in which if you sit in a certain seat, you can travel back in time, but you have to return before the coffee that they pour you gets cold. And it's a really quaint, lovely novel just about life and love and loss, and I know it's made a lot of people cry. It's made a lot of people really emotional. I think if you're looking for something that's going to help you come back to yourself in a very tender way and make you feel very held, this is the book for you. On the other side of that, we have a book where you are trying to come back to yourself. You're trying to come back to your power. You are trying to come back to who you are as a strong person, as a warrior, and you are trying to regain that strength that you feel like you've lost and that power that you feel like you've lost. And for that, I'm going to recommend A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. So this is the fifth book in the ACOTAR series, but let's be real, y'all have probably read ACOTAR. I know who my audience is. Okay, y'all have probably read ACOTAR. This book is Nesta's story. Nesta is my favorite character in ACOTAR. Yes, it is fairy smut, which is what all of ACOTAR is, but it really does just follow Nesta and her healing journey and her journey in coming back to herself and her journey and physically working through her pain and trauma. For me, it was really, really healing and really, really empowering to get to see someone who starts so broken end in such a place of strength and power. And I know Sarah J. Maas actually speaks about this, and she speaks about how through writing Nesta's story, she was able to heal and come to terms with a lot of trauma and grief in her life. So I genuinely really really recommend this book. I think if you're looking for something that's very empowering, this is exactly the place you should be looking. The next category is The Darkest Timeline. These are books for people that feel like the world has gone to shit. The darkest timeline has been put into motion. People who currently feel like they just can't win, that the world is just crumbling around you. These books are for you. The first book I want to recommend is Cleopatra and Frankenstein by Coco Malors. This is the story of Cleo and Frankenstein. They're in an age gap relationship, and it follows them throughout their life, throughout I think a couple of years in their marriage in New York. So good. It kind of follows the dissolution of their marriage and the ways that it affects the people around them. It's just an absolutely incredible debut. I really loved it. I gave it 5 stars this year. Absolutely recommend if you just feel like the world has kind of gone to crap and you don't really know where you fit in or what's going on anymore. The other book I have for you is Severance by Ling Ma. Severance is about a pandemic, so content warning there, but it's actually a critique of capitalism, and it's really fascinating. It has a lot of layers. It's partly relevant to this conversation we're having here about breakups because of the darkest timeline thing. It's partly relevant because there is a major breakup in the story and she has to deal with the after effects of that. It's partly relevant because it'll get your mind off of it because it has all these critiques on society and how angry we are at society. It's just a fascinating book. It's really incredible, and I would highly recommend that. The last category I have for you today is poetry to destroy and poetry to heal. Now, you might be thinking, Sarah, those things don't really go together, but I'm going to tell you, yes, they do. As a poet myself, as someone who has a poetry book coming out myself, you should keep an eye out for that, okay? Poetry can be a really incredible tool to heal and destroy. So for this category, I'm not going to tell you which I think each poetry book is. I'm just going to give you the books and you can take them and fly with them and, do your thing with them. As a poet, I think poetry is one of the most incredibly lyrical and magical and healing art forms we have. I think poetry can just say things in a way that nothing else can. I have 3 poetry books to recommend to you, plus a bonus, which we'll get to at the end. The first one is On Sun Swallowing by Dakota Warren. You've probably heard of this. It's absolutely phenomenal. This is a collection of poetry and prose written by Dakota Warren, who is a fellow booktuber. It talks about love, loss, girlhood, intimacy, sexuality, grief, religious trauma. It is just phenomenal. I gave it 5 stars. It was absolutely incredible. It's so aesthetically pleasing. There's photos in there. There's little doodles in there. It's beautiful. I would highly recommend this book. Next one is Bless the Daughter Raised by the Voice in Her Head by Warson Shire. This is a really incredible collection of poetry that I don't think gets enough credit. It is poems of migration, trauma, womanhood, resilience, blackness. It is incredible. It is beautifully written. My favorite poem from the collection is called Midnight in the Foreign Food Aisle. I think it's just absolutely stunning, and I would highly recommend this poetry collection for you. The last poetry collection I'm going to recommend to you is Time as a Mother by Ocean Vuong. This is a poetry collection all about grief, specifically the grief of losing a mother. I just think grief is a really transcendental feeling, and grief from one thing can be very similar to grief from another thing. And if you're looking for something that is similar to grief, like the grief you're having about grieving your relationship, this is about grieving the relationship with the mother. I would just really recommend. It's an absolutely beautiful collection of poetry. Ocean Vuong is one of my favorite poets of all time. I'm really heavily inspired by his work. The last thing I'm going to recommend to you is a shameless self-plug, because I actually just got published for the first time and I'm really proud of myself. So, Solstice Literary Magazine, this is it. I am in here. If you want to purchase it, you can, but I have 3 poems featured in here. One is called Feminine Rage as a Primordial Goddess. One is called Mad Woman as a journal entry for Monday, September 27th. And one is called Punisher. You can also read some of my published poetry on my website under the publications tab. I just wanted to promo that really quickly because that was really exciting for me, and that's a really exciting announcement I have to share with you guys. All right, everyone, that is all of the recommendations I have for you today. I genuinely wish you the best. I wish you healing energy. I wish you love. I wish you community. I wish you so much joy to come. go listen to some sad music and take a walk and cry. Make sure to follow me on Instagram at Sarah Weiser, follow me on Twitter at Sarah G. Weiser, and go to my website. I have a website now at www.sarahweiser.com. Thank you so much for watching. I genuinely wish you all the best. I wish you healing energy. I wish you love, and feel all your feelings because they're completely 100% valid. All right, I'll see you next time.